Still loading.
Guys, welcome to the third episode of AI Unplugged, dubbed the AI Clone Wars, where we break down the biggest stories in AI and what they mean for you. So today we are going to be talking about AI voice cloning and synthetic organs as we move into further into the era of AI. So today I'm joined by our incredible panel as usual, Andre Reginald with ARK Solvers, and Mike Pina with Rocket AI. And I'm your host, as usual, Zeke Cuevas with Nuvotech Consulting. So to get us started, let's dive right into this new issue that we are seeing that has risen into government levels, which is where Marco Rubio, his voice was cloned, and the risks that it comes with the new technologies that are emerging. So this is coming straight from Axios. July 8th just happened, where Senator Marco Rubio is urgently calling for federal regulations to counter AI-driven voice cloning scams. He warns that the malicious actors could use their hyper-realistic impersonations to spread misinformation, defraud citizens, and destabilize public trust. Despite the explosive growth of this technology, there are no clear guardrails or governance in place to protect individuals from AI-generated voice misuse. So this opens a large topic and a question on, do we have rights to our own voice and the likeness of ourselves in a world of AI? What do you guys think?
Well, this is actually a conversation near and dear to my heart, being it's on the cybersecurity side. And actually, I was thinking earlier today, AI is cybersecurity. Everything that you do when you think about cybersecurity, there's some form of AI in it. And in this case, just to kind of give people a general idea of what happened, you had basically bad guys. And what the bad guy decided to do was he said, all right, I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to download some 30 seconds, not even, right, of Marco Rubio speaking. Then he went on different platforms. 11 Labs does it. All different type of platforms does it. And basically what you can now do is you can upload your audio, whatever that audio is, into any of these platforms. And from there, you can then make it say whatever you want. So you can take Joe Biden, Trump, or whoever's voice, Morgan Freeman, whoever's voice you want, and you can make it say whatever you want it to do. So what the bad guys basically did now is they took Marco Rubio's voice. They found out some cell phone numbers of some high-level senators here in the U.S. and then some political people overseas. And then they created a Signal account. And one of the things with Signal is that you can actually you can make the display name say whatever you want. And they essentially tricked the politicians to thinking that this was really Marco Rubio. And they sent like a voice memo. And those people believed that it was he's not senator anymore, but Marco Rubio, they believed that was his voice. And then they started communicating. And so kind of just give the premise of what happened. So I'll tee it up to you, Mike, as far as your thoughts.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So in this space, obviously, this is already a national security concern. Anytime individuals like Secretary of State Marco Rubio are doing public speaking, new announcements, whether it be policy changes or things going on in the economy, concerning anything that affects us as citizens, right? They have high ethical responsibilities. There's more weight attached to it. always about telling the truth, respecting the audience, sticking to the facts. But in this AI-driven world now, we have the introduction of those who can be bad actors, and you have two sides of the spectrum. So on social media, you may have funny content like with who was it, Morgan Freeman. You know, somebody dubbed his voice, and he's talking about something on social media, and it's totally hilarious. It's obviously not the actor. You can see, especially the changes in the way that the words are pronounced. But here they took it a step further. It's not making a satire, which is protected under the First Amendment. You can do satire, okay? This is actually a threat to national security because you're going the next level of taking the gentleman's voice, saying something that is not true, communicating that to other officials within our government, and completely concealing what is the source. So it's dangerous. And my concern is, okay, could this set a dangerous precedent as far as what creators like you and myself do with generative AI going forward? Are we going to have limits? Is there going to be more government oversight? I don't know, because this is still very fertile ground, and only time is going to tell. What I can tell you is, and I wanted to throw this back at Zeke and Andre, right? I know that in the US, as far as AI laws are concerned, they're much more relaxed compared to our partners overseas, let's say Europe, Asia, and maybe some parts of Latin America as well. Do you think going forward, things are going to tighten up as far as what we can and cannot create because of situations like this?
Yeah, so let me chime in on that, Mike. So I think that there's going to be a continual rise of these issues and risks that are popping up, across the nation. And like we have been saying for several times, and we'll keep shouting this, at the rooftops here, that we need to start implementing sound governance and rules around AI. And we don't need the government to start telling us. We need to start doing that within our companies. I've heard stories of CEOs' voices being cloned, and where they authorized a $50 million transaction to a separate bank account, and they got robbed. So these are state of emergency issues that companies need to start implementing sound AI policy right now. If you're just starting to think about it, you're late, and we need to get on top of that.
Oh, I agree with that, and I agree with the education. You got to definitely have the businesses. They need to be aware that there's these deep voice, fake voices that are out there. However, you had mentioned that one of the things Marco Rubio is saying is federal law needs to change in order for these things to stop. But the only problem is it's kind of like saying creating a federal law that says, hacking someone's system is illegal. Yeah, that's fine. But the issue isn't that it's happening here. It's happening overseas. It's happening in Russia, China, Iran. They're the ones that's trying to get information. So, they can talk about putting different laws in place to protect this. And yeah, maybe for US companies, they have to be careful, and they have to maybe vet that this person's voice is really that voice. But at the end of the day, these bad guys are doing these things overseas. So it's going to be pretty hard to regulate that.
So there, go ahead, Mike.
No, it's extremely hard to regulate. Look, I spent 7 years in financial services, specifically in financial crimes education. And one of the things that I always took back, going forward from that experience was it's all about money in the end. Right. You have to follow the money. And this is not necessarily a politically driven conversation at all. We're looking at it from the technology aspect, the ethical aspect as well. But I think ultimately the goal of some of these bad actors is going to be profit driven. They want to see some type of outcome, some type of change that may benefit them. The question goes back to who's benefiting from making a Marco Rubio fake. I don't know. But this is even before the generative AI tools that we have now, because I remember hearing almost 2 years ago that people would get random phone calls from a family member with a voice that was cloned, not even video, saying, "Hey, I have your relative. I want some money," and some people bought into the scam. Now, part of this whole space that we're in is having to do with AI literacy. That individuals need to understand what is happening out there in the real world. We can't just be oblivious. That's why I'm constantly encouraging people. You need to learn AI. You need to learn AI. This is not a I think moment or maybe tomorrow. This is you need to learn AI, because now it's at the point that if I can fake being, let's say, the CEO of ARK Solvers, and we have a demo here, by the way, what else can I do? You know, and we did a little sample here. I did this in less than 4 minutes. It's not even that high quality, but I impersonated Andre from
All right.
Solvers. So tell us what you think.
Unplugged Podcast.
Oh, wow.
Let's do that one more time.
Run it again.
You're watching the AI Unplugged Podcast.
Wow. And that only took 4 minutes.
That's in 4 minutes. You
Wow.
start off with a high quality image. I use a service called Kyber Super Studio. I have a great relationship with them, and it's so easy to just add the image, make the video, and then you upload your audio as far as what you want to say. Now, what you do with the end product, that's a different story. Fun, fiction, or what happened with Marco Rubio, which is where we don't want to go.
So
Yeah.
I think, guys, what's gonna give rise to this is like the next billion-dollar industry is gonna be authentication,
Yes.
right? Like we have to put preventative measures in place, and so every single conversation, every single transaction going forward that can have financial impact, that could affect our livelihood, will have to be authenticated in one way or form, that we are the actual person making that request. And there's going to have to be multiple signatures along the way, or people signing off on that, right? So it's like what Andre was discussing last time about two-factor authentication. But that's going to have to be expanded exponentially for us to be able to verify those transactions.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's different ways of doing that. But unfortunately, even in my world with, on the cybersecurity side, and we try to still tell clients, hey, you need a better, the world is past antivirus. The world is past spam protection. There's so much other stuff that you have to do, but it's all about money. And for me, I don't, not to be the negative person today, but I just don't see the consumer, the business owner spending money on that until it happens to them. And then that's when they're going to want to then say, okay, fine, I'll spend the money now that it's happened to me.
It's about being proactive, Andre and Zeke, not reactive. And the easiest way that I think, at least getting one's foot in the door, is to get the exposure to understand what are the dangers out there. Zeke, I know your specialty is specifically with AI and consulting within the healthcare field. I mean, your industry in particular has so much to benefit from when it comes to prevention of fraud with Medicare and Medicaid. And, individuals who are relying on payments from the government for their health, especially as they get older and sicker, unfortunately, cannot be the ones that are at risk of possibly having those funds stolen for treatment or medication that they needed. There's no room for error, but it also falls on the responsibility of the provider, and as well as those who are dispensing items, whether it be medication or pharmaceutical equipment, CPAP machine, whatever it may be, a wheelchair, that all gets billed out. So how far can really two-factor authentication or some other type of authentication go into those types of technology, especially where you have reimbursement involved? And we nailed it. This is the future.
So yeah, 100%, Mike. And what we have to focus on is implementing AI. Unfortunately, if you don't use AI, the only thing that can combat bad AI usage is good AI usage. And we have to start implementing that, not only as a means for productivity, for efficiency gains, but for security gains, right? And these things don't happen, guys, all of a sudden, right? You don't take AI and let it run wild within your company. But what you do is you start with small areas, one step at a time, so that you can gradually expand AI across your organization and put these guardrails in place. And that is a huge field within healthcare, especially as you deal with PHI or patient health information and data, HIPAA compliance. That strategy, I cannot stress enough, has to start now, and we have to start building these roadmaps and implementing it within our workflows.
And I think you actually answered even. We had a comment here. Sorry, I know the episode number 3, guys. So we're still working out the how
No
the
worries.
faces and all that stuff.
Go for it.
But we have John who says, are there any even preventative measures that can be taken, or do people have to take a reactive approach? So I think we kind of answered that, where we cannot wait for the government to solve this issue.
No.
Let's answer that right now. So for John, for that question, the answer fully is proactive, anticipate. And I think of it like the front door of my home, okay? Am I going to put a lock on it after I get broken into or before? No, you're going to have a lock. You're going to have security cameras. You're going to have neighbors that you stay in touch with. That's the other part about this community, okay? Yeah, you want to go ahead and be able to network and learn from other individuals that are already in this space to be able to figure out what else is happening in this world of AI. And I had a conversation not 2 hours ago with a gentleman overseas. He's in Poland. And I told him, my testimony. Community is everything, whether it's AI, cybersecurity, or in the healthcare space. Connecting with others, you learn about what's going on. And since AI is that technology that is so rapidly advancing, you want to stay up to date on the latest news. Chime into a podcast like this, chime into other sources where you can tap into information about what's happening in the world of artificial intelligence. So for John, definitely, you're right on it. It's about being proactive.
Yeah, and also just to add to what you're saying, Mike, and to answer John's question, it's that organizations will have to start implementing or expanding their cybersecurity exponentially. And so what I envision, not only within the healthcare space, but within all companies, is there will be a dedicated AI cybersecurity team that is constantly studying and analyzing all these tools and new technologies that are coming up and doing an analysis or a cyber attack analysis on how this can be used against their company. And when you're constantly doing that analysis, you can now put protections in place to prevent that. So you have to start really anticipating the attack.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, it's a cat and mouse game, and the bad guys are always ahead of the good guys, because even, now some of the phishing emails that we're getting, our phishing tools aren't even catching it. Like that's how good they are. We have Microsoft spam filter, the highest level, plus we put it on a third-party tool, and these things are just getting right in. So like we all said, it's all about educating.
Well, my friends, these are the clone wars.
Yes.
The AI clone wars. All right. So we also have another topic that's pretty amazing here. It comes directly from the Texas Institute, a Heart Institute, which it implanted a first titanium artificial heart. So check this out. In a medical milestone, the Texas Heart Institute implanted the first Bivacor total artificial heart in a human patient. So this next-gen device uses a rotary pump inspired by aerospace engineering to fully replicate the heart function, offering hope to end-stage heart failure patients who aren't transplant candidates. So it's now entering clinical trials to assess safety and performance. And this gentleman that has been using that artificial or titanium heart has now been 100 days on it.
Wow.
Obviously, he's pending and waiting for a real heart transfer, but it's working. And so this opens up the future now in where robotics and what I see as AI-powered bioengineering is starting to converge.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And see, this is the good part about AI. We just talked about the negative and how bad guys can use AI, but this is awesome. To save a human life by using this technology is great.
This I can tell you this because my old man went through this. He was a heavy smoker, and after 4 open heart surgeries, okay, we're talking about the days that people would smoke on airplanes, like
Oh, wow.
back in the days, 1970s, I believe is when they ended that. The type of procedures were so invasive. I mean, the way they had to reach the organs, and now literally you can use robotic surgery from a distance. I think it's the Da Vinci robot system. Some of our healthcare systems right here in South Florida have already used it. They're very easy to do compared to a heart valve replacement 30 years ago, if it existed. But this is next level stuff. This is basically you're taking technology to be able to swap out parts. And of course, you're going to have questions, ethical questions, donors. Are you on a list now waiting for 10 years for that kidney, or is it maybe only 6 to 8 months until something is prepared? Mm-hmm. Who's going to pay? Is insurance going to pay, or are you doing self-pay? These are things that are going to come up. Also issues with compatibility. Will it work? Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work and a patient doesn't survive, now you get into the legal aspect. Who is at fault here? Was it made in the U.S.? Was it made overseas?
So let me give you a unique perspective on this, right? So a while back, I did some work for a company that does bioengineering. So at a global level. So basically, if you think about it, if your grandma or someone who's elder happens to fall and let's say breaks a hip, you have hip replacements. This company built the actual hip replacement, right? And we know that today those things have worked very well. A shoulder replacement, a hip replacement, a knee replacement. My mother-in-law, for example, got her knee replaced and it's been phenomenal. It gave her back her quality of life, and all that comes with that as we age. Now, the evolution of that, I think it goes into 2 parts. One, where you continue the advancements in medical engineering, or the hardware side of it, where you have the Strykers of the world, you have the Boston Scientifics of the world. That's going to continue moving forward. And then on the other side, you have what's AI-powered bioengineering, which you're going to have synthetic organs being created in a lab that are monitored by AI. So let me give you a visual here. Suppose a patient comes in and they go into the emergency, heart failure, massive heart failure. Patient is 80 years old and is in need of a new heart. In the future, AI will do that quick analysis, will send the request to a lab where it will synthetically create that artificial heart. And then immediately, right then and there, the patient will go into surgery and that heart will be implanted and monitored by AI going forward for vitals, for any issues that may arise as it adjusts and settles into the body. To make it simpler, we're talking about Iron Man.
Right, yeah.
This is Hollywood level stuff. I love this. I love this.
I did a quick search while you're talking. It said heart failure affects nearly 7 million Americans a year, but there's only 4,500 heart transplants that are done because of availability and doctors and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So this is awesome, man.
It's gonna help.
And it'll lead to the extension of life.
Yeah.
Right. Over the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to see these things start to actually take place. Like, this is not a far-fetched idea. It will have to happen, and our lives will start expanding over time as we start to merge really with technology in a sense, right? Our conversation back to what is transhumanism. We start like blending in where humanoids come in, they start looking more like humans, and humans start to feel more like robots. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic.
It sounds like something out of a fiction movie, and you know, if you go out on a first date, you're gonna have to say, "Are you real? Let me feel."
Right.
It's crazy.
It'll be hard to tell.
Yeah.
You know, more than anything, because I'm super passionate about what each of us is doing right here in South Florida. What I want to see is that Miami, South Florida, Broward County, Miami-Dade County become the tech pioneers in this space. And we've got at least 3 or 4 major health systems right here. I can name a few. You know what they are. If you're in Broward County, you know where you're going to go. If you're in Miami-Dade, you know where to go. Who's leading the curve? I would love to see these health systems be the pioneers in pushing this type of technology for bioprinted hearts, kidneys. You know, why do you have to go to dialysis 3 times a week when you can get a kidney 3D printed? You know, it'll be a GMO kidney, you know, genetically modified organ. But it's technology, hopefully, that will get better. And the other part about this is when it comes to generative AI, because you can have people create concepts of, well, what can a heart look like? Would it look physically the same for an adult versus a kid? It's going to be a different shape, maybe more efficient. Think of it like you have for example, the Honda Accord version of the heart, which is a standard, or, okay, we're about to get deep. You've got the BMW version of the heart, which can do a little bit more. Maybe it's better suited for athletes.
Yes, absolutely.
Think about that. Or insurance covers Honda Accord style organs. Okay, can you imagine if Honda got into the organ business? It's like you do this and say, hey, look, I got a valve from Honda. Will we see that one day? I don't know.
Yeah. I actually had a question for you, Zeke, since this article topic is about healthcare. So I remember when the Apple Watch came out and it was able to monitor your heart. If you slept for 8 hours, it would tell you, you know, all of this stuff. Are you following, or do you know how that's been improved? Like, has there been way more stuff now, or apps that are like, if someone is like their heartbeat is a little off, or whatever the technical thing on the healthcare side has it been improving?
Yes, absolutely. So obviously the Apple Watch was a huge leap forward in monitoring your heart rate. There are better technologies that are coming out. For example, the Oura Ring. Have you guys ever heard about that?
I've heard of it, yeah.
You put a ring, you know, women that are trying to get pregnant use this a lot to monitor their temperatures, to monitor ovulation cycles. And I had a friend that I went out the other day with, and he had an Oura Ring. He's an older gentleman. And he showed me on his phone all his stats and his vitals. Wow. So a really cool story. I'll make it short. So we went to a concert at, there's a local place in Fort Lauderdale called The Revolution. And they do like grunge and punk rock and really cool bands. And so we got into the area where the mosh pit was happening just for a little bit, and you know, it got a little exciting. So then we're like, okay, let's step away. We don't want to, you know, start pushing around.
Did you jump in a mosh pit, Zeke? I'm just curious.
No, I'm beyond that, right? Like, I don't want to, you know, I'm trying to go to work, not break a knee, you know. Right. So after we were sitting down having some tacos, and we looked at his Oura Ring stats, and you could see the spike in his heart rate during the time that we were on the mosh pit. It was amazing. Wow. So all of that monitoring will start to grow and expand. But what we'll see is more permanent uses. So that Oura Ring communicates, like he has like a patch, and it communicates directly. You see diabetics using that technology where they have a patch that's permanent. right? And whenever they want to get their vitals, they scan it against the chip. So those wearable devices are good. They're advancing, but eventually, like I said, they will start being permanent on the physical structure.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. I was just wondering on that.
It's fascinating.
Awesome.
Fascinating.
All right, guys. So we have one more topic today, that it is the YouTube plans to crack down on mass-produced AI. So this comes directly from TechCrunch. Mike, I know you have a lot to say on this. This comes directly from TechCrunch. So basically what's happening is that YouTube is preparing new policies to target low-quality, mass-produced AI videos, which are flooding the platform.
Yes.
The company wants to curb AI-created videos because they're becoming repetitive, spammy, content created at scale to farm ad revenue without adding value. Creators who upload synthetic videos with minimal originality could face penalties under these upcoming changes as YouTube seeks to maintain the platform quality and viewer trust. So just to simplify that for our audience, as you know, if you're a content creator and you're constantly posting and creating good content and people view your content and subscribe, YouTube, like X and any other platform that hosts content, they will pay you a revenue. So it creates a revenue stream, and this is how all YouTubers make money, and TikTokers and so forth. But what happens now that you're basically just like Mike did in 4 minutes, created an AI video, and you're just spamming, and you're starting to see that go into the bloodstream of the social media. So what do you think, Mike?
Could we play that just one more time for
Yes.
so I can have some context, please?
This one here?
You're watching the AI Unplugged Podcast.
There we go.
That's awesome.
I have too much fun with this. Listen, I love this. This is what I do. At midnight, I'm making stuff. Okay, what has happened? Okay, the YouTube economy has basically made a big announcement within the last 48 hours, I believe it was, that fully AI-generated videos, okay, are not going to monetize. We're not going to pay for that. In other words, we're going back to the days of you with your cell phone capturing live or real content, organic content, I would probably term it as. Now, in the world of AI, you can create so much with so much less and faster and put it out there. Some of the videos out there are just phenomenal. They're great for going viral, increasing the amount of subscribers and so forth. Okay, you want that kind of engagement to start monetizing. And with the YouTube model, depending on how many subscribers you have within a given period, okay, whether it's full videos or just YouTube shorts, they're going to start paying you. Okay, that's how you earn ad revenue. There's several ways you can do it, but the idea is that you're creating your own channel and people watch you. You have influencers out there who have been using this formula to create passive income for the longest. You can go and on YouTube now and just Google things like Mr. Beast or Ninja Kids, any of these large scale influencers. And that's just here in the US. As you move out of the US, you have a whole another economy of people who are in their own worlds doing content for the online world. But what happens when they say no more AI? It has to be original. I'm looking at it from this perspective. It's affecting people's income. People who are creating content with AI, who maybe are depending on this type of income, maybe from areas that have lower rates, lower GDP, excuse me, where it's harder to make money. Okay, it's a different standard of living, are relying on this technology to get their message out to the world and generate income. When you take that away, I feel that's kind of like pulling the carpet from beneath somebody. Now, at the same time, and I'm going to throw this right back to Andre and Zeke, okay? You and I both know that the moment we get on social media, I have at minimum 5 social media accounts, at minimum. Many of us have an average of 5 to 15, okay? There's so much noise out there. So I kind of see this as a way of reducing the amount of noise and junk that's floating on the internet. But on the flip side, right, I feel that it's taking away from creators. So we have to ask, are we creating content just to make money or just to cause an impact, create more subscribers? What are your thoughts? Because it's hurtful, it's people's income.
But I think what made YouTube so good was that original content. What made TikTok so good is that original content. How silly or stupid it was, but now, if the other day I was playing with one of, I think what's the Google version that starts with a VO3 or something when that just came out?
Yes.
Yeah. So I put a video of McDonald's, someone at McDonald's returning an order, and within a couple of minutes, and I got a lot of likes for it. And it was pretty cool. But and there's some other times, even when I'm watching a YouTube video about something in the news, and all of a sudden I'm listening to it, and then I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait, this is just someone that took a whole bunch of pictures, put it together, use one of these tools, use ChatGPT to write a script, and it's no, I want the original news. I want some So I think I understand on the creative side and generative AI side and all that stuff. I get that's someone's income, but maybe mix it up. Could you, as you're talking and now you want to put one of these,
You're watching the AI Unplugged podcast.
So maybe, talk about something for 2 or 3 minutes and then put that up, but don't just make the entire 5 minutes or whatever the time is, or the short or the reel, just that.
So let me clarify. This is specifically in the space, right, of content creators who need to monetize. Okay, I'm not talking about the local restaurant in Pembroke Pines that is using an AI generated video to create brand awareness. I'm totally fine with that, but it hurts the little guys, the small creators, or the ones that are trying to be innovative, especially if they're pursuing that dollar. At the same time, the good part is that it can reduce a lot of the junk stuff, the fake info that may be out there, like what happened with Marco Rubio, or fake ads. When the whole and I know this is a horrible example, but when the whole P. Diddy thing happened, the internet was flooded, and I mean flooded with videos of him and AI generated content of silly things, obviously mocking the situation for the gravity that it was. But it was made so quickly and so easily by regular folks like us. These are not Hollywood style creators. They're regular Joes. So that's the kind of stuff I probably would say it's funny, but I don't want to see. I'd rather see more organic, original content that is high quality.
So I think what will happen is that YouTube will eventually start labeling videos that are AI. They'll force that label on there and separate it from authentic human recording, right? And I think what they're doing is the right step. This is definitely a need because, like you were saying, Mike, it will protect the content creators that are creating authentic content. And one of the things that I have stressed in the past is that you're going to see a huge curve up of the use of AI. But what you're also going to see is, as humans, we're going to become saturated with AI. It's too much.
Yes.
It's at some point, you're going to want the human experience. The human experience will be the gold. It'll be the best experience out there. And people are going to be willing to pay more to have a human experience, to not talk to AI, to talk to a real person. So you're going to see this shift where these things that weren't appreciated before now all of a sudden become premium services being offered. And you're going to hear these advertisements. I'll say it right now on the podcast. In the future, want to speak to a human? Absolutely. For the low cost of $100, you can speak to a real human and not AI. Take it to the bank.
Wow. Well, again, that goes all back to people want original. People want that thing. And one thing that, again, just going back to creators. So for those creators that are monetizing on it, I would also probably look at it as far as what YouTube may be seeing. YouTube may be even seeing that their views are going down because people are tired of looking at this AI generated. So
Yes.
that could be something that's correlated as well.
It makes things easier to be able to get a message out there quicker and faster and cheaper using artificial intelligence tools. But we also have that other side of the misuse and then flooding the internet with junk. And there's a lot of junk out there. It comes back to the beginning of today's episode that people cannot always tell what is real from what is fake. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, but some people are completely oblivious. They don't realize, hey, this is a fake video. I wanted to make a quick comment. I know actor Ben Affleck was on a show not long ago, and the question was posed as far as how is this going to impact the whole creative process, originality, and he said something that kind of stuck with me, saying, when you have real organic content, like actors doing something, that whole synergy, the attitudes, the impromptu moments, you can't replicate that, at least not yet, with artificial intelligence. AI is very scripted. You're giving a prompt instruction for a video of how you want it to look, knowing already what the intended outcome was. But sometimes during film, okay, you get very unintended situations where an actor will go slightly off script. Jim Carrey is a master of this. A lot of his movies, he has gone off script, and the result has been hilarious. But also when you have two amazing actors, human actors, okay, and the connection that they can build on screen, you cannot replicate that yet with AI. That's just my opinion right now, July of 2025. Let's see what happens 1 year from now. We'll see.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen. Well, we have one more quick announcement before we conclude our podcast for today. We are going to start streaming our podcasts on Spotify and other platforms. We've done so well and we've had so much success with this so far. And we just want to announce that for our audience. So we'll be sending that through LinkedIn. Stay tuned so you guys can subscribe on Spotify. And for today's episode of AI Unplugged, right? We want to give each one of our panel interviewers here a chance to have closing thoughts on your business. We're all business owners. And so let's just do a quick rundown here. Go ahead, Mike.
So just want to remind the audience, this is summer. This is a time to spend with family, but also the time to learn. AI Rocketship recently made a unique announcement that we're going to start offering AI training in Espanol, in Spanish. And we're also pivoting towards online virtual options to give people that convenience of learning from home, the same tools that we use for our own clients and in the AI community. So if you have questions, just reach out. I'm Mike with AI Rocketship. I hope to build and learn with you.
All right. And for me, this episode really kind of just show where sometimes in AI, the lines blur. You know, there's the good and there's the bad. So it's now just a matter of, you know, where do we take it? Hopefully some regulation happens, hopefully some enforcement happens, and, you know, we can be a better place with it.
Excellent. And for Nuvotech Consulting, we specialize in healthcare, and we specialize really in helping you implement an AI roadmap right now. I am seeing excellent results with our clients that are jumping on this to build out those patient workflows, the patient journeys, and starting to implement AI right now. We can help you with this. This is not a future thing. We can help you demystify that and put that plan and whole project in place to start executing on your AI strategy starting today.
Awesome.
All right,
Guys.
so gentlemen, thank you so much. A huge thanks once again to Rocket AI, ARK Solvers, and Nuvotech Consulting for joining. I hope that you like this episode. Please like, repost, and subscribe, and we'll be back next week.
Take care.
Yeah.